Okay, I think we're ready to rock and roll, everyone. My name is Mallory Huron. I'm the Director of Beauty and Wellness here at Fashion Snoops. Once again, filling in for Michael Fisher, our usual MC and Master of Ceremonies for Show and Tell. Just a quick little intro to Show and Tell. If you are unfamiliar, this is a creative brainstorming sharing session that we used to do back in our IRL office in the before times in New York. We turned it into this amazing webinar during the pandemic. It's one of our most popular, where we come together to brainstorm and just share whatever is inspiring us at the moment. I'm going to pass it over to Ellie real quick to go over some marketing things in a moment, but just some quick housekeeping before we get started. Please, as a reminder, we love to encourage an active chat session throughout the session and the webinar. Please make sure that when you choose chat, you're selecting everyone and not just hosts and panelists. We want everyone to be able to see all your amazing comments as we go through. And please make sure to keep yourself muted as well throughout the webinar. All right, handing it over to Ellie.
Thank you so much, Mallory. Hi, everyone. Mallory, I don't know if it's possible to jump to the upcoming event slide, because we can see still the show and tell opening slide.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I've got one moment. I have it pulled up. I see it here. Maybe I can stop share for a moment and you could share that one slide.
I think we could do without the slide otherwise. That's
Okay.
no worries at all.
Okay.
You're just gonna have to listen to me. But I would just like to briefly talk about one of our upcoming events in September that we're very, very excited about. So on the 11th of September, so in a week, we are hosting a morning of creative exploration, inspiration, and knowledge sharing in London. We'll explore key shapes, materials, and trends set to emerge in women's wear, men's wear, and youth markets. You're supposed to be able to see the different sessions there on the slide, but it will range from a sound meditation to a round table discussing why creativity is a vital and rare resource today. So if you'll be in the London area, we'd love to see you. Spaces are limited, so submit your interest as soon as possible to secure your spot. And to do so, please visit fashionsnoops.com/events or email me at eleanor@fashionsnoops.com. I'll actually share the link to submit your interest in the chat box in just a few moments for anyone interested. And again, this event will take place in London. But that's all from me. Back to you, Mallory, to kick off the September show and tell.
Okay, great. I'm going to share my screen again. Bear with us. Okay, one moment. Okay. All right, can everyone see our beautiful show and tell links? All good. Okay, wonderful. We're up and running, friends. Okay, well, kicking it off, we're going to begin with our Kids and Active team today. So Tamara, handing it off to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mallory. So hi, everyone. I'm Tamara Escalici, and I'm the Activewear Senior Strategist here at FS. And starting off the show and tell of the month, our team really wanted to highlight some really interesting artists and movements that are integrating their craft into more active designs. So Mallory, if you want, you can click on the first. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we see that craft and artisanal techniques are really coming to the forefront in different markets, especially as consumers are really looking to add meaning or value to the products they buy. So first up, we wanted to highlight the Sashiko Gal. So you can just scroll down, Mallory, if you want, maybe opening up some videos that really show their craft. So Sashiko Gals is a women's collective from Japan that is renowned for their mastery of hand-stitched details. that brings a unique beauty to design, and most recently, iconic sneaker models. So they collaborated with a lot of brands from New Balance to Salomon, decorating sneakers with a traditional sashiko embroidery, which is a technique that is used for decorative embellishment, but also serves for fabric reinforcement. So the term sashiko roughly translates to little steps and describes this process of visible mending that dates back to the Edo period. So the principles intrinsic in sashiko are to preserve and extend the life of precious textiles, which is definitely something that's always on our radar in the active team, especially around conversations of sustainability and circularity that are like super top of mind. And we definitely see this move toward integrated the most ancestral and primitive techniques a lot that are also environmentally friendly while reworking familiar objects, giving these ancient techniques with a more modern expression. So definitely love all of this design and definitely also the story behind it that is coming together with the community and the values, and also offer an opportunity for self expression. So continuing on, we can go to the next link. I wanted to share the work of another artist, and I shared his Instagram account. It's called Gucci Clone, and the artist is called Max Vu. So he created this account to kind of document his self-taught sewing journey. He posts montages of his sewing alongside beginner-friendly tutorials. And the account definitely took off. So he talks and explains a lot about how garments are constructed and the more technical side, which I think is just super fascinating. He also uses visible mending techniques that are inspired also by this sashiko aesthetic, as we can see in some of the videos as well. He also works with a lot of scrap materials, like, for example, climbing ropes that he turns into belt, or woven bags that are made from fabric scraps. And they all fit kind of like in this overarching project that he called Clone, which aims, as he said, to bring refreshing and diverse perspective to the world of design by incorporating the opinions of those from all backgrounds. So really, really inspiring, and really, when you have the time, you really need to check it out.
Love this. I love how, the idea of extending the life wear of clothing is catching on in younger generations, because fast fashion may be cheap, but it doesn't last very long. So
Absolutely. And it's like just so creative. I just love how we're just like trying stuff. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be like, fun and playful and just, something unique. And that's really awesome.
Agree. Love it. Thanks, Tamara. And I believe, Rachel, you're up next with some delicious Oreo content.
Oh, spoiler.
Sorry.
No, it's all good, all good. I'm seeing a few people saying it's blurry, but I guess this is in contrast. We're showing a lot of some lo-fi craft, so maybe it's a rebuttal from the internet. But going alongside this craft, here we have some kintsugi Oreos, which I came across recently and I thought was so brilliant and also so tasty. So as Tamara was speaking a bit about some craft earlier here, this one really ties it in again as well. So we've all been there and we open a pack of Oreos. A few of them are broken. Well, what can we do? But there's a new campaign that kind of flips that frustration on its head, and it turns these broken cookies into something really cool. So, of course, the inspiration here came from Japan. Kintsugi, this beautiful Japanese art form where they take broken pottery, fix it with gold, and make the cracks really part of that design. So the idea here is that, of course, imperfections can still be beautiful and tasty. So Oreo came up with this really clever way to bring that idea to their cookies, and they're selling tubes of Oreo frosting so you can repair your broken cookies, just like how the Kintsugi repairs pottery. Instead of being bummed out about a broken Oreo, now you can really embrace it. You can fix it up with the frosting and turn your cookie into something really special and unique. I love this. It's such a fun way to turn something that's usually a little bit disappointing into something a bit more creative. I believe they are only being sold in Mexico at the moment. But again, this campaign is a really great example of how a brand can take something small, like this broken cookie, use creativity to change how we think about it. And again, it's not really just about selling frosting. It's about shifting our mindset to see the beauty in the flaws. Plus, it's a really cool way to introduce people to kintsugi and that philosophy. So it's a little lesson in appreciating the imperfections, all while enjoying a yummy snack.
Oh my God, I love that one so much. When I saw it, I couldn't wait until the presentation. It was so good.
It's
Love it
definitely
so
working
much,
because
Rachel.
now I'm craving Oreos, so it works.
Me too.
But then once you
Awesome.
repair it, will you have the heart to eat it again, is my
Oh,
question.
Oh,
that's the
good
question, the end all questions.
Awesome. If
Awesome.
you want, Mallory, you can go to the next couple of links.
Perfect.
Sorry.
All right.
So the next couple of links are getting us all connected a little bit more to our childhood and maybe have us a little bit feel nostalgic. As I wanted to talk about this project for the 50th anniversary of Playmobile. So they celebrate their 50 years and they have commissioned 10 artists to create their own version of their famous model. Yeah, you can just click on there and you can see all of the images. So what is super interesting here is that they don't create, the regular small sizes that we all know, but they're actual life-sized versions. So the project is curated by Hikmet Sugor, and he lined up a range of creative to produce their take on their life-size figurines. So we have works including from Thomas Marecki, Benjamin Aidan, the street artist Hera, and much others. So on their Instagram page, you can also have a look at it. I linked it also on the slide. And you can see actually how each creation was made and the inspiration behind each piece. I love the one by Gwen van Vliet and Glemiel Polak. I hope I pronounced that well. And they created a concept based on the Playmobil tree as a metaphor for growth and how ideas are created. So they talk about how these toys help build imagination and help spark new ideas. Designer Hera, which is another artist that collaborated on the project, talks also about the importance that Playmobil played when she was growing up and how she thought it was interesting because, how the minimal details that they have and, the lack of facial expression sometimes, there was more room for imagination and fantasy, which is the concept that she moved forward with, and it was called Raven Child. An agent of change. And her creation symbolizes transformation. And I love how she sees this toy in between brackets as a tool to entice positive change. So what's really interesting also is that the pieces will be on show in a gallery in Berlin, but after that will be auctions on eBay where all the profits will go to Save the Children Germany, which is an organization advocated for the rights and protection of children worldwide. So really fun to see that all coming together.
Love that. I love the intersection of, elite and elevated art and creativity with these kind of very basic toys that most of us worldwide probably had some interaction with. It's a really beautiful way to kind of translate this cornerstone of childhood into creative expression.
Absolutely. Love it.
So we're getting a lot of comments that the screen share is a little bit blurry. So Mallory, I might try to see if it's a little bit clearer on my screen.
Okay. Apologies, everyone. It looks clear on my end, but I will.
Yeah, I think for all of us, it shows up clear and we're like, I can't see this, but let's see. And then you guys can tell
Sure
me
thing. Stopping share now.
Okay, we're on Legos. Okay.
I believe we're on
Is this it?
the Great
All right,
Lego
so how
Spill.
does
Yes.
this look? I'm sorry, I can't see the comments right now either. But all right.
Yeah, it looks good for me.
Yeah,
Are you
looks good.
Are you able to click the other link that was before this? It's from New York Times. So I don't know if you have to sign in for that, but if not, we can keep this and I can talk through it as long as everyone can see the photos.
All right, let me go back to here. You're on Oh, the Instagram, this one?
No, Nay, the
Oh,
article
this
that's next to it.
here, this one.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, awesome. So I came across this article recently and I found it quite fascinating. This is speaking about the Great Lego Spill of 1997. So kind of keeping in with the Lego theme that we already started with Tamara. And this was when nearly 5 million Lego pieces were lost at sea after a cargo ship that was headed from Rotterdam, which is behind me, to New York City was hit by a rogue wave. In a really ironic twist, many of these Lego pieces were actually nautical themed, so scuba tanks, octopuses, light rafts, and they've been washing up on shores around the world ever since. And this has actually connected people from across the globe as they share their discoveries and marvel at the strange persistence of these little teeny tiny toys. And in 1997, this turned into an unexpected global treasure hunt with people finding these pieces washed on shores from England, Ireland, Belgium, Netherlands, France, and way beyond. This has brought together a lot of people through this fun discovery, really connecting them across the world and bringing beachcombers together through social media and these shared stories. But of course, this also highlights a more serious issue, the lasting impact of plastic on our environment, something that FS has really been diving into. If you haven't read our white paper with our collaboration with the Plastic Free, now is the time. But getting back to this story, this is a really quirky phenomenon, of course. Finding these Lego pieces on beaches has sparked a sense of community among people that have maybe never crossed paths otherwise. There's even a Facebook page that's become a hub for people all over different worlds to find their stories, share pictures, and be excited, really showing something that as simple as plastic can link people across the world in a fun and meaningful way. People are even looking towards art. So they're taking these wash up Lego pieces and creating artwork from the plastic waste. There's one artist that's really transforming this shipping mishap into these really powerful visual statements. So again, really turning trash into something a bit more meaningful and highlighting the issue of this marine plastic pollution. And the widespread distribution of these Lego pieces really underscores how plastic pollution is not just a local issue, but it's really a global one. These ocean currents were described as an oceanographer as the world's greatest subway line, and they can carry the plastic debris across vast distances, bringing the pieces of this 1997 spill to shores thousands of miles away. People are still finding these toys. And while the colorful Lego pieces are really quite easy to spot, they represent, of course, just the tip of the iceberg. Much of the plastic that enters our oceans eventually sinks to the bottom, becoming part of the marine environment. The hidden plastic is a growing problem because it's out of sight and often out of mind, yet it continues to accumulate at an alarming rate, threatening marine life and the ecosystems. We all know that these plastics break down into microplastics. They can be ingested by even the smallest of creatures, therefore entering the food chain and potentially impacting human health as well. So the ongoing discovery of these Lego pieces really serves as a reminder of the dangers that plastic pose to the wildlife. And it's also super interesting that we're still finding Lego pieces from a spill that happened nearly 30 years ago. So it's a clear indication just how long plastic really lasts in the environment. And it's not just a quirky story, it's really a call to action. This story really made me think a lot about our use of plastic, how we dispose of it, and of course, these long-term consequences of our actions. And as we're marveling at these little bits of Lego history, we should also be motivated to reduce our reliance on plastic, seek more sustainable alternatives, and work together to protect our oceans. But also at the end of the day, what I really loved about the story was the joy of the hunt. So for many, searching for these Lego pieces really adds a little bit of excitement to beach cleanups. It's like finding a little piece of history, and each discovery really connects us to this strange and ongoing event. But beyond the fun, it's also an opportunity to reflect on those broader implications of the plastic waste while keeping our beaches and oceans clean. So the next time you're at the beach and you see a little Lego, maybe think twice of where it came from.
Wow, love that, Rachel. You know, this reminds me a lot. I don't know if you've heard of this as well. The beach in France where all the Garfield phones keep
Oh,
washing
yes.
up. Because there was a spill of that from a cargo ship like 30 years ago as well. And again, it's nice because it's so cute and like humorous, but it is this truly haunting reminder of how long plastic stays in our environment. Also,
Big
I'm
time.
seeing a few comments in the chat. Just a reminder that we will be sending out both the recording and all the links from this webinar in the coming days. So just sit tight and you'll get all this goodness delivered to your inbox. But thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, and I think the next link is mine as well. So I also wanted to speak about Lego again. But this one, since we're here with the kids team, I thought it was only right to really pull up this new collaboration between Nike and Lego. So I really love this. Nike and Lego are coming together to create this really cool partnership that's all about getting kids moving and having fun. They're combining the creative play of the Lego bricks that we all know and love and find on the beach, and Nike's just do it attitude to really make fitness a priority for the younger generation. They're really there to inspire, again, this next generation. So both of these brands believe that getting kids to play, whether it's through sports or building with Lego, it's really the key in helping them grow into their best selves. Again, the partnership is really all about inspiring kids to get active and creative at the same time. So starting next year, families will start to see some exciting new products and experiences that bring together the imagination of Lego with Nike sporty vibe. So we can think of it as a fun way to get kids excited and staying active, whether they're building with bricks or playing with their favorite sport. And this partnership, I find, is really super timely because studies show that a lot of kids are not getting enough playtime or exercise. So Nike and Lego are stepping in to change that by creating these opportunities that make active something that every kid can enjoy. Nike has been really working to make sports more inclusive, especially for girls, by focusing on coaching and increasing the access. So now with Lego, I'm excited that they're taking it to the next level by adding this layer of creativity to encourage even more kids to join in. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. We haven't gotten too much of a sneak preview, but more to come in 2025. We'll keep an eye out for that.
Love it. And moving on to your last link.
Yes, I think so. So this one I also really loved. So thinking a bit more about kids and active, I saw this ad recently, and yeah, I really loved it. So this was Apple's campaign for the Olympics in 2036. So really, really thinking ahead. While everyone has been mesmerized by the latest Olympics, and of course the current Paralympics in Paris, this Apple campaign really took a different approach, and it shone a spotlight on the future of sports, including kids that could truly be the next big stars. This campaign is called the 2036 Hopefuls. So it's featuring some seriously talented young athletes that are all under the age of 10, and they're so cute. We're talking about kids that are already excelling in sports like skateboarding, gymnastics, para-basketball, and even table tennis. Again, highlighting these young athletes is really important because it shows off their passion, dedication, and of course, potential. Greatness doesn't happen just overnight. It starts with the kids that are super young. So the kids that have those big dreams and the determination to achieve them, it's really captured in these photos. What's also really cool is that these kids are captured by none other than this photographer called Walter Ios Jr., and he's a legendary sports photographer who snapped iconic photos of Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, and Serena Williams. And now he's turning his lens onto the next generation, which shot on iPhone, of course, hashtag. This campaign isn't really just about showing off the iPhone's new camera. It's really about inspiring these young athletes everywhere, putting them on billboards, and really showing a reminder that the future of sports is bright and these kids are set out to make their mark. And I attached in the link next to it some of the campaign images a bit more, but we can have that when we send the links out. Everyone can look at it a bit deeper, but these images are so good.
They're so sweet. There's something about the inspiration of this boundless potential when you're a child and getting into sports. You just don't think what your limitations are. You're just having fun and discovering a new skill. So love
For
that.
sure. I don't think I was alone, but when I was watching the latest Olympics, I was thinking, wow, I should have started younger at anything. any
Yes.
sport.
We all should have been gymnasts. Thank you,
For
Rachel.
sure.
Amazing
Yeah,
links as
absolutely.
always.
And underneath, I have 3 ads that I saw recently for Paralympics that really moved me. We definitely don't have time for all of them today, but yeah, if we want to play this one, it's quite fantastic. And I really encourage everyone. The Paralympics is happening now through Sunday, and my mind has been blown on the athletic ability there as well.
Is winning. Participating is winning. the my shift. Winning is winning.
Awesome. Thanks, Mallory.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, moving on to Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Rach, I'm so happy that you showed that kids campaign. I was walking by one of the billboards every morning this summer, taking my kid to the bus stop. So it was definitely something that was inspiring and something to look forward to on those 7:30 a.m. treks to the bus. So I'm so happy that you showed that. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Yee, Director of Kidswear at FS. So the back to school season is upon us, and like many parents and caregivers, I spent the past few days deep in the school supply shopping. So my first link is to an amazing Tokyo-based kids art supply brand called Wasset. So the idea behind these products are based on the designer's own observation of kids and how their creative process differs from adults. So they want kids to be spontaneous in their creativity. So many of the products kids can color with it, they can break it, they can smash it, they can rip it. So one of them is a giant sketchbook. So it's almost the size of a doorway when it's unfolded. So if this was informed by how kids will draw all over the edges of the page and onto the table, I can attest to that is definitely a thing. However, the brand reframes it as simply the piece of paper is too small to hold these kids' big ideas. Another product is a magic crayon, so it can draw on any surface, but it's easy to wash off as it's made from rice bran wax instead of a petroleum-derived paraffin. So they want kids to draw on surfaces like grass, as it's all about how the product can change as the environment does in which kids are making their art. They also have these great snap and share markers that split into 5 mini markers that stops fights over sharing markers, which is just a genius idea. They have a car-shaped supply box that kids can wheel around by themselves. We all know that kids love to rearrange furniture, so this actually encourages that. And finally, even their packaging is a coloring book, so nothing is considered trash. All these companies' products are made locally in collaboration with small manufacturers across Japan. Even the glue, for example, comes from a family-run factory that dates back 200 years. It's made from a tapioca rice starch and packaged in a refillable glass jar. So the adhesive is all natural and technically edible, but not recommended. So in the kids department, we really love considering how kids will use products, just not just how adults expect them to be used. So this really instills this confidence in kids, and we love this brand and the thought process behind designing these everyday items for them. So moving on to my next link. So like many this summer, I was a big fan. Oh, actually, if we can go, there's a link right after. Could be. Yep, that one right there, the data one. Doesn't want to pop up. Thanks. So like many, I was a big fan of Inside Out 2 this summer. So this book really resonated with me. It's called This Is Me and Only Me, and it follows the narrator as they go to school, bike to the market, share with friends, and it processes big emotions like fear and anticipation. So like many books, actually most kids' books, there's no kids pictured in this book. Instead, the whole story is illustrated through data. So for the author, Giorgia Lupa, who's an information designer by trade, this introspective data visualization is second nature. So she subscribes to the belief that she calls data humanism, which encourages the idea that data can be used to tell deeply personal, meaningful stories. So, to write this book, she tapped into the knowledge shared by teachers from preschool all the way up to high school, really looking into what worked and what was natural for kids to express. She found that this kind of format can be used not only to teach kids about the world of data, but most importantly, a new way of observing the world. So, for example, the narrators walk to school in this book. Each of the 5 weekday journeys are presented by a pink line. A squiggle in the line is a new route, a dot is a pause, and a loop shows a slower pace. So these simple symbols tell an entire story about just one small part of the narrator's day. So from tracking laughter to working through fear, This Is Me and Only Me invites the reader to reflect on their own experiences through data visualization. So going back to Inside Out 2, I love these new methods of teaching and showing and explaining to kids about their emotions as they grow. And my final link. So with the back to school season, sadly comes the unofficial end of summer. And these watercolor comics by Anna Laura Sullivan illustrate summer days in a way that's relatable to both kids and adults. So the artist focuses on life's human experiences by capturing heartwarming exchanges and the simple joys of sun-soaked days, sleeping in, an excellent song. Her soft furry characters draw out life's beautifully mundane but most lovable moments. So translated into these watercolors, a medium that the artist describes as a meditation to go slow, these digital love notes possess nostalgia, warmth, and fuzziness. So the artist concludes, my hope is my work is to remind myself and others, it's really good to be here. I'm glad we're here together. If my words don't resonate, that's okay. I hope the illustrations alone make people happy.
So sweet. I love all the little panels that just capture these simple moments with the tagline, I'm rich. And I think this kind of wholesome content and wholesome, simplistic content is something, we've been seeing for a while now, but it's clearly just resonating with consumers on a very, fundamental level. And summer still goes until the 21st, I would just like to say. So for all you summer people out there, we've got time. But thank you, Nicole.
Are you sure, Mallory? I think Summerween is already upon us from what I understand.
No, Jordan and I were debating this a few weeks ago, so he's trying to rabble rouse a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, I'm already making like a witchy brew over here in the corner, so I don't know. I think summer might be towards the end.
Summer is a state of mind.
Summer is a state of mind. That's right. Before going into the other links that I have, I also just wanted to touch real quick. Nicole, I love that you brought that up about the Inside Out 2 and emotions. I mean, I'll admit, I cried at the first Inside Out, and I definitely cried at the theaters for the second one as well. But in our back to school report, shameless plug here, we talk about emotional literacy in there too, as well as some of this play-based learning stuff that was brought up with the Lego examples earlier. I love to see it all come together like this. But, emotions can be so intense and hard to understand. And I love the data visualization part really helps identify patterns, because patterns give you something to hold on to. It gives you something to reflect back on and understand this really kind of squishy, squiggly kind of part of who we are as people. And in the back to school report, CU Boulder actually linked up with Pixar to create an entire new platform to help kids better understand their emotions too. So I think we're starting to see a pattern emerge here ourselves. It's very cool. Well, so my links deal with a little bit of charm. We got kind of like this little optimistic and fun corner of the internet at the moment. I actually think it's ironic. Last time that I did one of these show and tells, I think it was February or March, and I was talking about people dating AI chatbots and Rose Jail from Hinge and all kinds of other things. And now I feel like we almost have a bookend, or at least a check-in on what's going on in the dating world. So Hinge just launched a few weeks ago this new anthology of 6 dating stories. And it captures elements of imperfection and journey in the dating process. You see here, they've got a nice little photo shoot. And each one of these stories is written by an up-and-coming author based on the real life experiences of folks starting a relationship. You know, it's been a tough year for dating apps. Hinge was under fire for the Rose jail, as we kind of talked about earlier. And there's been a lot of online discourse this year surrounding like toxic masculinity, heterosexual dating woes. That's been on full display, the man versus bear conversation. It's been everywhere. But this really is a nice little counterbalance to that. It hits at a lot of really popular things going on all at once. This kind of desire for romance, because each one of these is really, you know, tied with a nice bow on. If you read through, the writing is actually quite good. They'll start way back in some people's stories about childhood and these kind of like very disparate little parts of their personality. And then the story will flow into how they found that connection point and to how now they're still together years later. And it's really sweet. And I don't know if this is more reflection on me, why I've come up with 2 dating links to share in the last 6 months, but here we are. There's also this greater, you know, push for reading in general. Book talk is huge right now. I think we had a pitch day internally a couple weeks ago. I think someone said books are now the latest and greatest fashion accessory in and of themselves. And so this also rise in print media. Everything that you see here on this website is actually going to be published in a print version next week and circulated. So this was done in collaboration with Dazed Studios to put together this really just nice little bow. And it shows that not every relationship is going to be perfect, that not everything can or will feel like a fairy tale. There's even a story in here about a couple, and this is very classic, matched on Hinge in like January of one year, kind of like ghosted each other, and then rematched in May later that year. And now they've been together for years now. But the issue was they weren't ready from January through May. And that's okay. And so that it kind of gives a little bit more hope. Deep in the back of my mind, you could say this is just dating app propaganda. And that in the end, this is just to inspire people to keep swiping, which you could make that argument. But I think we can all agree that there is always a level of hope that really just never goes away. And this really does kind of help stoke those fires and feelings of positivity. So I think this is a really cute little project and kind of speaks to a little bit of that open inquiry that we're talking about internally right now as a team. Not everything's going to be clean. Not everything's going to be perfect. And we need to be able to, you know, sit with those imperfections and uncomfortabilities and make something of them. And I think that's what this project does very well.
Love it. Also an apt metaphor for how we began our show and tell today. So
Yes.
not everything's clean or perfect, but we can make it work in the end. So I also love the site design of this. It's brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love the way this looks. I was actually just reading about there's like a lawsuit earlier this year brought up against like some of the dating services for like just the whole like UX of like swiping left and swiping right that has just become so ubiquitous like across like any kind of online experience. And there's something about like how you can so easily discard someone to the left or right that kind of dehumanizes the experience, and it adds this also this like kind of gamification aspect to it that like is like akin to gambling. It just keeps people like, you know, wanting to roll the dice again and again, and then when you get a prompt to like pay more to like get another try, yeah, it just kind of sets up this really destructive cycle. So I love this idea of like kind of like slower dating, and I think we've been tracking kind of like the rise of real life like dating services, and I think this emphasis on yeah, IRL interactions and rather than online. But I think this is like a really nice antidote to that for now.
Yeah, rehumanizes. It's not just characters in the game. It's we had conversations, we had a connection, and we even have similar tattoos based on a shared childhood experience growing up miles away from each other. So like that kind of stuff. It's a nice counterbalance. This one is a little bit more, I think this is great because it's a bridge between what's going on in the kids world, what's going on in the fashion world, what's just going on in the world of fun. I don't know. I want to show of hands here from our panelists, at least, you know, how many of you have played Dress to Impress? I just kind of want to see. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I know what we're going to be doing later this week. So I will say that I did get sucked into this. One of my friends had me play it. Just to Impress actually launched late last year, but it's only in the last few weeks really blown up on social media. It is a server on Roblox. So that's the app conduit through which you get to this game. Even Charlie XCX has partnered with this game in recent weeks to launch brat-themed outfits. But the point here is you have 5 minutes to design a look based on a theme, and you're competing with just 10 other randos across the world. And then you vote on the look. So you get the theme, you walk around a closet, you choose shoes and accessories and hairstyles and everything, and you put it all together. And then you get on, you may or may not get placed on the podium, first, second, and third, but you get to vote at the end of the 5 minutes. With more money, you can buy more high-end accessories, and the entire game actually has lore behind it. There, like the nail tech has lore, like there is just all kinds of fun, like secret avenues and parts to the game. It's really hit a soft spot for people right now. It's definitely a creative outlet for expression. We love putting together thematic looks. Cores have been a big deal for years now, and this allows you to really tap into that. The aesthetics are there, but it also really makes you feel like a kid again. There's a huge amount of nostalgia with this game. There's glitchy graphics. The dolls themselves look like brats, like the brand. It's very simple and straightforward fun. So I love this for playing this game, and it's really like many adults are playing this game right now. And I think this really touches, we've been following the rise of childlike joy. We've been following the rise of, I think someone even in the comments mentioned earlier, kidulting. That was huge at the Vegas Licensing Expo this year. I mean, there really is no end to this runway. How long this particular game has, I couldn't necessarily tell you, but it definitely speaks to that desire for the fun. And also social media's ability to amplify the gameplay in general. I mean, you show your stuff on the runway on TikTok. Oh, and I will tell you, I think maybe the biggest part of this is the heartbreak when you don't make it onto the podium, which I never have, and I'm still saddened by that. But people love to get together and cheer one another on or celebrate the loss. And yeah, you can also just post all of your looks. People screenshot their looks all the time. But I think this really also speaks to, like, if we're kind of cash strapped right now for fashion, this is definitely an outlet to be able to put together looks for free and put it to the public eye. But it's really fun. And yeah, I would recommend actually giving it a try. One of my friends just forced me, gave me his phone and said, okay, you just need to do this right now. And now I have an appreciation.
So we are definitely establishing an FS Dress to Impress bracket for sure, because I am pumped to try my hand at this. And we know that gamification for all content and all markets has been huge and it's not going anywhere. So this is absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, although I haven't played, I can attest to the kidulting aspect. I have a younger sister who's 20 and she swears by the game, so love that. This is kind of a nice follow-up to what Jordan shared, kind of talking about some new shopping patterns that we're seeing. This first article talks about the new American Mall, and this first stat really jumped out at me. It talks about how at the beginning of this year, shopping center vacancy was nearly the lowest it had been in over 20 years. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like recently all we've heard is how the mall's dying, but this is definitely a huge contrast to that. And it's largely because a lot of malls are pivoting more to experiences. Netflix actually just announced Netflix houses that will be located in malls. And it's basically these immersive experiences that people can go to engage in a new way with their favorite Netflix shows, which I thought was super cool and kind of goes off of that play idea that we were talking about earlier. So kind of just talking about how the mall is very much alive. It's just kind of taking over a new shape in our lives than maybe it once did. And then the next article that I have is kind of talking about this in another interesting lane, talking about how a lot of mall brands are kind of very much alive right now. For one, I know Gap has always been a great player in this space, kind of finding fun collaborations to breathe life into their brand. But they most recently did this collaboration with Mad Happy that you can see here, that Devin Lee Carlson's the face of, that of course Gen Z loves. And then even the style of clothing is very nostalgic and again, feels like definitely a grab to try to get the attention of Gen Z. But in a way, it almost feels like an ode to that traditional mall culture of like hanging around, buying a pretzel, walking around Aeropostale or something. So I thought that was super cool. And then, of course, Abercrombie, they've had this really great rebrand recently, doing a really great job of like growing with their consumer, which I thought was super cool as they age. And then even Limited 2 has come back. And interestingly, they're targeting millennials, but they're trying to get them to buy the clothing for their children. So I feel like I see some really great examples in the chat too, but there's so many brands that are kind of exploring the space in a different way. And definitely also, as we come off the conversation from our last show and tell, I talked about how tween culture was kind of dying. So I feel like with this mall revival that we're seeing right now, it'll be interesting to see if anybody kind of tries to fill that gap of like tween culture. We already kind of see it with the Limited 2 thing coming back. So definitely something to keep an eye on in the coming months or so.
For sure. And just looking at those low-rise jeans, one person's nostalgia is always another person's trauma. So with the whole Y2K movement. But I love that. I agree that, we talk about, especially within historical buildings, adaptive reuse, trying to find new purposes for buildings that no longer serve their original purpose. So I love that malls are being reimagined. And is that your last link, or do you have another one, Layla?
Oh no, that's all for me.
Okay, thank you so much. And on to Nivara.
Yeah, I don't know, Layla, did you introduce yourself? Layla's the newest member of our
Oh
culture.
yeah. Hi everyone. I'm the newest member of the culture team. I'm the culture analyst. So it's been really great to be here so far.
And I don't know, Jordan, if you introduce yourself, but Jordan's
Yeah, I
strategist.
sure didn't.
Your
Yeah,
strategist.
I'm a strategist in the senior. Oh my gosh, I can't even say. I'm a senior strategist on the culture team. Thanks.
All right, so I'm doing double duty here. So I might be juggling a couple windows. So kind of on the same note, somewhat related to the mall brands, and also the kids content. I have, first of all, our first link here. Hopefully you can see that. Gen Alpha has also contributed to the shopping mall resurgence. But like this article, I think, reveals some really interesting new patterns for this generation when it comes to consumerism. It talks about how they're actually going on their own decluttering missions, and pressuring their parents to clear things out and even to donate them. We know that this generation grew up online and they absorb a lot of information, a lot of the same information that we do, good and bad. And this is perhaps being swayed by the de-influencing movement that we've been seeing online, as well as this underconsumption trend that we're seeing. So while alphas are stepping into their buying power a lot earlier than previous generations, because they're so savvy, they're also surprisingly selective about what they're spending their money on, often going more for quality rather than quantity. They also learned about environmental issues and the climate crisis at an earlier age. And they're from school, and they're also at this age where they're building a lot of conviction around those ideals. I know my niece, for example, she's really into animal preservation, and she's become a vegetarian and all that. So they're kind of at this age where they're learning about it and becoming really passionate about it. I think it's interesting. In one survey, 80% of parents said that they've been influenced by their Gen Alpha kids to be more environmentally aware. I also thought there's this anecdote from the report that was interesting, about this professional organizer who was hired to come in to clean out a kid's playroom. She said that the mom realized that the kids weren't playing with their toys anymore. And when she asked them why, They said that they'd rather have one big thing that they could play with in a lot of different ways rather than a bunch of small things. So anyways, I thought that was interesting and probably good news for parents who are also tired of all their kids' toys and clutter. But anyways, there's that. And then since we have the active team here, I also wanted to share some links about exercise. So first, there's a lot of research coming out about the benefits of exercise at the molecular level. I feel like every day I'm just seeing more and more articles about how you can extend your life by like going for a walk every day or just doing this thing or that. Well, anyways, there's these studies that are coming out of Stanford that are finally confirming this with physical evidence. I think more than any other treatment or intervention, it's exercise that's improving nearly every area of the body on a very foundational level. And I have a video here that I can play.
We often hear that
there's no magic disease. Filed them with a range of different molecular assays. We see 35,000 different changes. 2/3 of these changes are tissue specific. So we know immediately it's going to be very hard to create a drug that's going to replicate all of those benefits. We can really start thinking about what would be a precision or precise exercise intervention or treatment.
Does that mean you tailor a specific exercise to a specific disease or illness?
I think eventually we'll be able to do that. We'll be able to say, you know, if this is something that you're suffering, so saying exercise more, we can perhaps get closer to how many minutes you should exercise. What types of exercise should you do? How is that going to interact with the disease processes that might be happening at the molecular level? We will also have the tools to look at biomarkers of exercise. So we'll know, has that been enough, right? Because we'll be able to see in the blood or other tissues, you know, that training effect with these types of maps.
How does this benefit the patient, to the people watching out there?
We know there's lots of benefits already, but we can see them now at the molecular level. So we can see genes that are changing that we know are responsible for coronary artery disease. We saw changes that are related to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We also saw important changes that are related to type 2 diabetes. Endurance exercise is beneficial for your health, your heart, your longevity. I think now how this is going to benefit people is they're going to understand, you know, the why. So really, you know, exercise is the best medicine. I think this is going to empower research for years, if not decades to come.
All right, there you have it. I think along with Ozempic, there's just a lot of interest around finding ways to hack the body and to hack health. And a lot of this information is being shared on social media. And I think that's what's really been propelling this desire for self-optimization amongst especially younger consumers, which my next link speaks to. And it's about how Gen Z loves the gym, the swellest generation. And they're really propelling this surge in gym attendance, which a lot of gyms are not prepared for. So in a recent survey, more than half of Gen Z said that fitness was a very high priority for them compared to 40% for everyone else. So for example, Planet Fitness gained 4 million new members between 2019 and 2023. And in particular, Gen Z loves strength training. And this is why many are going to the gym so that because they have access to more specialized equipment there. It's also interesting to note that women in particular are getting more into weightlifting as they become more educated through influencers about how weightlifting and all that can help build metabolism rather than, you know, you just get like this muscular bulky body. In addition, there's a social benefit to going to the gym. In one survey, 2/3 of Gen Z said that the social aspect was something that they looked for in a gym. And I think lately there's been this whole outcry around the loss of the third place, which is a place that isn't the home or work where people can come together. And the gym is really filling that need these days. Anyways, we kind of explore how physical activity is providing this new framework for socialization and all of those opportunities that this presents in our spring summer 2026 forecast in a story called Social Fitness. So definitely encourage you to check that out on the FS website.
Love that. And it's interesting because we know that Gen Z is experimenting more with, sober, curious lifestyle. And so it's interesting that gyms are kind of possibly replacing bars as the third place. I mean, we'll see, but it's and there's some correlation there to be explored, I think.
Yeah, it's like the smoothie bar instead of or it could be both, I guess, for after hours. But I have another story here that I have linked about the reunion, like the Oasis reunion, and about how this is sparking like this Gen Z, Gen X conflict, which I think is really funny. But yeah, I think we're out of time. So
yeah, I think we're about to wrap up, but definitely, again, we'll be sending all these links out. And the Oasis reunion has sparked huge discourse online. Definitely, there's a new resurgence into wanting to investigate Ticketmaster for their upsell, policies. So interesting that they didn't do that for T-Swift, which has been commented on many times. So we shall see. But again, thank you all, and a big shout out. Thank you to Navara for stepping in and valiantly sharing screen when we ran into some technical difficulties. So thank you all for joining us. Again, apologies for the blurry screen at the beginning. Technology is a fickle friend, but we will be sending all these links out so you can take another look at them. And we will be back next month with our October show and tell. Thanks again to my fellow panelists as well. Take care and have a great September, everyone.